Hi, welcome to Economica. Welcome everybody. Welcome back, and I'll have a hopefully quick update on some key measures that everybody loves to know when it's Christmas season, and it is retail sales. Are consumers spending? Are they not spending? Are they feeling the pinch of inflation? Are they saving for some unexpected expenses next year? It could be higher taxes or deleveraging, paying off bills. All kind of this stuff, and I'll have a few things to go through with you, and I hope you'll enjoy this trip across data. And so let's start with rough figures. So of course we took the UK retail sales, which are very worried about what's going on. Nobody's going to Selfridges to buy the next the next item on discount. So what has been the trend of retail sales in the battered UK? And you see that this chart here gives us sales excluding fuel. So forget about petrol station, and here we see some months up, some months down. So this varies a lot, but already it tells this should make you so for example, December last year was minus 3.7%, not so much retail spending in December. So this is a data that we have to carry through to this year, December 2024, to see if effectively when we will have the latest data after the forecast that I'm gonna give you now in a wee bit. So I'm trying to do my wee bit, So we see that December was a negative month, and then in January we had a strong 3.3%. So these are seasonal changes that explain consumer behavior is changing. So people, they don't go for the December bargain because they don't believe in the December bargain at all. They see prices are higher, so the 1 day discount of Boxing Day, it doesn't matter at all now. So they wait for January to have a broader month that has discounts for all months, rather than focusing on just the 26th of December, Boxing Day. So we have seasonality, but we see that these bars, they're very large, up and down. And we come from a negative October and a positive November, positive very tiny, flat September, and if we see the measure year on year, November was good, we had a strong October year on year. So overall 2024 on a year on year basis comparison, was better than 2023, although the negative trend was up to July. Dear Lord. And well, it's not better in other countries, but anyways, we see that what I want to show you, like a big 3.2% jump in September, but this is the year on year measure. If we narrow down, we see that the month on month, it's just 0.1. So that's why data require to be worked out, and to understand what is the underlying trend, what is the white noise, what are the seasonalities, like the big jumps up or down in the data. So there is a lot of work to do. It's nice for me. It's a pleasure. Right. So what is consumer confidence? No confidence at all. This is all negative. So it's been negative for for I don't know for how many. Oh dear. No, consumer confidence is, and that's never recorded. Let's see, 5 years. No. Okay, consumer confidence just rocketed down since after April 2016. I'm not making it up. This is a very reputable website, database. Jesus Christ. Oh my good lord. Right, so this is just picking back up from the Brexit disaster. You see the scene after 2016. You have a collapse, right? And they still keep going on about this stupid thing. And yeah, so this is another data. Bring it on, guys. Consumer confidence. It's negative. It's been negative for 8 years in a row. Shame on you guys. Shame on Brexiters. You should be ashamed. Hang your head in shame. 8 years of negative consumer confidence. Jesus Christ. That's not matter, Scottish people, they won independence. Because they got made like Greece, you know? The deficit is gonna pay the deficit. Don't desire what you don't have, Angela. That's great. Anyway, let's go forward. So what I was saying is that if you see these jumps up and down, and I'll show you some charts from Excel. If I can, no, I cannot. I can't. I'll have to move the page and yeah, you see this mess. So these are really total sales, non-food stores. So I'm trying to make you visualize that these are clustering, but this is not a normal trend, or there is a lot of chop and change, and there are lots of spikes up and down. So these series are very, very difficult to work and to achieve stationarity. There is a lot of seasonality, a lot of autoregressive correlation. These are food stores. Retail sales adjust for volume, non-seasonally adjust, but these are volume of sales in percentage. Month total value, non-seasonally adjusted of retail sales. So this is a broader measure. So total value, non-seasonally adjusted retail sales. You can see this goes from plus 20% to almost minus 30%. So these are very difficult to work, and now we'll go quickly on. And these are the forecasts I made, type of forecast. And we start now. We start from the row code, because I didn't have enough time and patience to define the thing. So basically, here we have some basic statistics measures, like what is the average on all the data set, the average retail sales excluding fuel. So the average per month or per quarter, they are roughly 3%. The standard deviation 0.23, and you have a minimum of minus 46, the maximum of plus 52. So these are the statistical samples, or the basic statistical measures, like the average and the standard deviation. And the count is the number of data, number of observation. What I took together, I tried to pull together as much data as I could, although there is a lot of data, but I try to to choose what is more relevant for me. So retail sales, total retail sales excluding car fuel, textile, all retail excluding fuel. Some are volume, some are monthly, some are quarterly, and I sampled the data in batches, month, quarter, etc. See quarterly goods and services expenditure. So let's go forward and see what. Okay, as I was telling you, when I try to see the stationarity of these things, this is wild, right? I don't know how many autoregressive AR and MA parameter you need to set, like 5 AR, 4 MA. I have here, I have to put on a piece of paper some stuff because I have to compare some things. And so we see that the rough data, it doesn't have any sort of stationarity. We see some moving average, like seasonality for household goods stores or textile and clothing. These are all outside the shaded area, so there is seasonality. It picks up and goes down across time, across months, and it is exactly as the data we saw before, like big months, January or December, up or down, and then small months. So these are reflected also in the autocorrelation and partial autocorrelation charts. So this stuff needs a lot of work. And then you start and do the first differentiation of the monthly things. Yeah, these are the columns, and we can see that the p-value is significant, but these ATF statistics parameters, some are good, some are not so good, but we could rather it was comforting just to see that the p-value is small number, and so basically I could achieve some sort of principle of stationarity, okay, removing all the seasonality, all the trends, all the white noise, etc, etc, etc. But this was not enough, and I will show you now. You can see here that I had to apply a seasonal decomposition. So the seasonal decomposition requires that from the data, from the observed data, you have to pull out the trend, the seasonality effect, and the residual. So basically, the cleanest charts that you can achieve, like for retail sales, yeah, so consumer behavior and stuff like that. It's the trend charts. Once you take out the seasonality and the residual. So the residual are the white noise. The white noise are these things like this big up or down. These are residuals of when you differentiate one period with the next period with the previous period. So the trend is your friend, and that's why I had to, because the normal chart is this one, and it's not workable. So the machine does a seasonal decomposition, and then it detrends the main factors, which are the trend, the seasonality, and the residual. So for each and every variable in the model, all this the detrending has been implemented. And so we start, okay, retail sales, excluding fuel, textile, as I said before, monthly retail sales, household goods, a category of retail sales. This is month, total value, non-seasonally adjusted, retail sales, all retailing excluding automotive fuel, and this is monthly percentage volume, non-seasonal adjust, retail sales everywhere. and food stores, non-food stores, and yeah, more or less this sort of stuff. So after that, I asked the machine to give me the ACF and the PACF on the basis of the trend and on the basis of the residual, right? So on the basis of the chart with the yellow line trend and the red line, so the trend and the residual, because this and this are no good. Nisba, nada, nunca, no bueno, right? But these are okay, are more human, human things to understand. And so I said, okay, please, let's have an AC autocorrelation, partial autocorrelation of the trend sequence. I have to lower this music because it's noisy. Alright, white noise. So we can see that after this, the seasonality decomposition and detrending, then we see that we have a more humane sort of stationarity. But for example here, for the trend data, we see that the data is trending. The trend is your friend. See, it goes up, then down. So there is a moving average, like sine or cosine function trending, curve down, curve up, curve down, curve up. So these are to be, because the residual, which is the white noise, there is nothing. So also, although this is a partial autocorrelation, we see that the residual still shows some sort of autocorrelation. So like outliers or big spikes in data still correlate with forward periods for retail sales, because there is a lot of seasonality. I mean, it's normal in consumer behavior. We know that there are periods when people go out to spend because there are discounts, you know, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, or it's summer, so there are the summer holidays discounts or all this sort of stuff. Some months are quiet, some months are more busier for shops, and this is truly true and true reflecting the data. Aye. So but nevertheless, by detrending and decomposing the seasonality of the data, you can manage to achieve some sort of stationarity, and you can work through this kind of stuff, right? So see this one, ooh, lots of autocorrelation, and this is the trend percentage total volume, non-seasonally adjusted, of retail sales. So the volume of the music, so the percentage change of the total volume of retail sales non-seasonally adjusted, still shows a lot of autocorrelation, although this is it's just the trend. Yeah, if we take the residual of the same thing, there is no white noise. So but the partial autocorrelation, it's only this is an MA1 or MA2 to moving average, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 no 1 2 3 4, like 5 AR 0 2. So it's 5 AR 0 for different first difference, and 2 MA to moving average. So alright, so okie dokie. What do we have here? So these are the forecasts, some sort of forecasts. Yeah, because I took also the consumer credits rule. Yeah, and these are Okay, same stationality. Yeah, same stuff. Test stationality again for first difference rather than um, the rather than decomposing the seasonality effect and the white noise. So these are only first difference, and they are decent charts. This is decent. This is a nightmare. This one is a very nice problem. It's 1 over x of a revolution over pi. And you see that this will go to infinity, right? Okay. Then, yeah, some ARIMA models. I said, okay, let's start with the raw data and do 111. And we have some good outcomes. Some are good, some are not so good. But the ARIMA 111 already does a decent work. Okay, fits more or less. This one is very good. Model fit wages and salaries. Because these ARIMA have been utilized on data with the quarterly frequency, right? So then, yeah, these are the results. We can see, I'll show you ARIMA 111. This, the AR, it's good, but this not good. This just goes out of the window. We don't need it. This is good. Okay, so you take the raw data and you try an ARIMA 111 Sarimax seasonal ARIMA for what? For the quarterly percentage 4-quarter growth of wages and salaries. Just take the data and do an ARIMA 111. You can have a decent output without doing all that stuff before. And there is kurtosis, leptokurtosis, so there are some fat tails, fatty tails, and they are, oh dear, the skewness is negative, minus 1.33, so this tells me that the distribution has fat tails, and it's skewed to the left side, to the negative side, so wages they don't grow as much as necessary, but they decrease more than they grow. Okay, so okie dokie, let's go. Oh, this is good. 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's go quickly forward. And this is basically the machine that performs the PIM-DARIMA, the auto-optimization. And yes, this is the auto-optimization for wages and salaries. So offset values, fitted values. Okay, and we see that the optimized model is 104. We go back here. Already I said 111. Alright, so 111 is good. The machine automatically did this one, and I changed it thereafter, but this one is very good. Auto optimization of 4-quarter growth 014. This is exactly as the data. 302, 3AR, 2MA for UK final consumption expenditure on a chain volume non-seasonally adjusted. So these are the total expenditure in a year for the whole United Kingdom, and this chain volume, right? So it's the volume of expenditure as well. It's chained to the volume. So quarterly goods and services. Also very good. Good. And these are households final consumption of on a national scale chain volume. So it's the volume of goods or consumption of households, and yeah, then we have the basically what is the best fit and the AIC criteria. These are large, minus 600, minus 800. It would be nicer if it was closer to 0, but anyway, we'll take it as they are, just the way you are. And yeah, I started to ask for some forecasts for the quarterly data, and let's see. Okay, so in Q4 the forecast is a 6% rise in wage growth, 7% Q1, 6% Q2, 6.3% Q3 next year. So wage growth, no, I'm sorry, this is households consumption, is it? Isn't it? What is it? No, sorry. Okay, wages and salaries. Wages and salaries. Salads, fruit salads. So yeah, okay. So the model on a quarterly frequency takes the wages and salaries and says, okay, you will have 6 and 7% growth this quarter, like Q4 2024, and the next 3 quarters next year, decent wage growth. And there is a lower confidence interval, upper confidence interval. So the lower confidence interval, which seems to me maybe closer to what is feasible, it's 4% growth Q4, and then 3.5%, 1.5%, and then decreasing growth. This is, I will bear in mind this, I will bring forward this data. Then 4 quarter, this is basically every 4 quarters, so the forecast is a bit less rosy. So Q4 is rosy. So this is 1.8%, right, Q4, and then it's negative growth for Q1 next year, flat-ish for Q2. Glasgow, and then 3%, 3.2% in Q3 next year. And yeah, these are the lower band, upper band, lower confidence, lower CI, upper CI. Oh dear. So lower CI, upper consumption expenditure. Oh no. Sorry, I made a mistake because these are all squeezed together. God damn. Right. Sorry. So, okay. So this one, it's consumption. Okay, so non-seasonally adjusted consumption would be 1.8% in Q4 and would be negative in Q1 next year, which is very, very probable because Q1 it's a very down period, down and out, then would be flattish around flat for Q2 and will pick up again in Q3 with a 3.2% consumption expenditure. So total consumption on aggregate level will be 1.8% in Q4. We don't have the data, so forecast is 1.8%, and then will be negative Q1 2025, flattish Q2, and will pick up again in Q3. And these are the lower confidence interval, which is all negative, and the upper confidence interval, which is all positive, like 8%, 4% Q1 next year, 7%. Interesting numbers. So quarterly goods and services expenditures at current price, non-seasonally adjusted. So again, pretty much the same, 1.8%, which is consistent with the total expenditure we just saw now, and the negative 3.5% in Q1 2025, a flattish 1.1% Q2, and a very strong 5.7% Q3 next year, and these are the upper confidence and households, finance consumption households or chain volume, and it's very flattish. This is a 0.7% Q4, and it's very flattish also next year, 0.5, 0.6, 0.5. So this measure on a chain volume measure of households consumption expenditure on an aggregate level on a national scale, the forecast comes up with some ratios that are less than 1% per quarter, which is not great. And then we have finally the charts, which are much nicer. So we see forecast of wages, and we see that wages will be nice for Q4, and we'll have a steady growth between 6 and 7%. Forecast for goods and services expenditure at current prices non-seasonally adjusted. So we'll have a negative expenditure, negative consumption for Q4 that turns around probably in Q2, Q3, as we just saw from the data. Yes, this is okay. UK consumption expenditure chain volume non-seasonal adjusted. Yeah, we have a slightly positive Q4, and then becomes negative, and then turns around, and Q3 goes up again, and then these are households. Final consumption, it's less than 1%. We saw here the data, it's 0.7, 0.5, 0.6.5, 0.5. So these are very nice things to consider, and I will tell you in a split of second what these are. I'll have to go and check it out again. Okay. Yeah, right. So RMSC root mean square root. I didn't remember the R was for. The dreaded R word, recession. So mean square error. So the mean is the average. So what is the root mean square error? Okay, because we take the average and the value and the expected value, and we find the difference, and then we square the difference, which is the error, the discrepancy between what is the value and what is the expected value that we forecast or we want to we imply, and then we find what are the root data. So this is a value close to 1%, which is very consistent, and also the MAPE, which is the mean absolute percentage error. So this gives you an absolute percentage error in the discrepancy between the value and the expected value, and this is a not so large, like 18%, so it's consistent, it's not that bad. So overall we can say that wages and salaries forecast, it is a good fit if it performs quite well. So good news, this should be quite reliable according to these parameters. There are to basically double check if the forecast it's good or it's not so accurate and needs some other kind of a model or a statistical measure, or refining the data, etc, etc, removing the white noise and blah blah blah. So UK final controller, the root, we see that RMSE mean square error. This is 1%. This is already 1.6%, 6.5%. So it's slightly higher, but still it's a good fit. And now we see that the MAPE is 77%, so it's large value, but still it's not so good. I'd rather say that this forecast, the forecast of final consumption expenditure, is not so reliable. I will not take it as the holy grail. Okay, so this double checking, it's useful to understand if the forecast is okay or you need to do some more work. Let's see, this one larger than me, but MSE, sorry, but the MAP, the mean absolute percentage error, still it's more acceptable, but still for this variable the data need to be refined and worked more. And yeah, we see that this number is huge, so we have a forecast. I have a forecast, but I should not rely so much on the forecast that I have on this graph, except for wages. So good news, good news. It seems that wages should be growing at 6 or 7%. Healthy wage growth. Hopefully, we don't know. And yeah, some forecasts and forecast. I feel more like a meteorologist than a statistician or an economist. But anyways, so yeah, these are other. Yeah, just I tried to repeat the experiment, and more or less I got the same outcome. So I moved forward and I did a VAR. Because with the quarterly frequency data it's easier to implement, not so much complication. So these are the forecasts for read probably, yeah, first difference, yeah. So these are we have the delta, the difference between these two, and basically it's the first step to remove the volatility from the time series, seasonality, and we saw the decomposition effect of seasonality and detrending, etc, etc, etc. And so by doing the first difference, then we can utilize the data to have a VAR model and see how the first difference will behave, the impulse response function, and so we can project some future trends. So the VAR, it's 4 lags and 8 quarters forecast. So let's start to see. Okay, we see first difference for Q4 2024, it's positive. So the difference between the previous period and this period, it's 1.6%. So there should be wage growth, as we were saying before. Q1 positive, so still wage growth. Q2 negative, Q1 slightly positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, right? So then the consumption expenditure on a chain volume non-seasonally adjusted, and it's positive for Q4, so this should be positive final consumption expenditure, and obviously it's negative in Q1 2025. Of course it's negative. Of course it's negative because we know that the first 3 months of every year there's this seasonal effect that consumer spending and shopping, it's very, very slow. So then it picks up in Q2, it's negative in Q3, Q4, Q1 2026. So there are some data that to bring forward and to consider for some the wider macroeconomic picture. And then, yeah, quarterly goods and services expenditure, positive for Q4, negative for Q1. See how this data minus 9.8, minus 9%, it's very consistent, very similar, because these are basically the same measure of the same thing, more or less. Then positive Q2, 10%. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. And then what is that? Q3 negative, Q4 2025. So we are looking 1 year in the future, even 2 years in the future. Back to the future. And then Q1 2026 negative, positive, negative. Okay, so these are, and yeah, assholes. Q4 expenditure for Christmas should be positive, and then negative in the first 3 months of 2025, and then should be positive for Q2 2025, Q3 2025, and strange enough, but not so strange, forecast comes up with a negative Q4 2025 assholes final expansion households. So let's go forward, and yeah, the log likelihood is a very good parameter, very good value, large value, model fits well, the AIC and the IKK and Bayesian and Harlequins and FP, so the AIC and VIC, you see minus 34, minus 32, they are not huge numbers, they don't diverge from 0, so they are small negative, so the model fits pretty well, it's quite reliable. So let's go and check the graphs, the charts that I went through before. This is basically the autocorrelation wage growth, so you can skip on that. So bear in mind that we are considering the delta x of t, so the difference in the data, okay, not the whole number of wage growth, but the difference between quarters of wage growth, and we are forecasting 8 quarters forward, as we saw now, 2025, 2026, okay, from Q4 2024 up to Q3 2026. And yeah, so we have negative consumption in Q1 next year, that then it goes to the baseline, and this basically works through also wage growth, negative consumption, less wage growth, then it's flatlining, and then it picks up in Q4 2025, it stays there a little bit, but it's a very narrow trend, so there won't be much difference from the actual data. Okay, goods expenditure, so people are spending money in goods. We see that there should be a positive impulse function from goods expenditure, 0.2 unit. This will be a good stimulus for wage growth, of course, and then it will converge to baseline scenario, slightly positive, and then it will decline to a minus 0.2 in Q4 2025, which is very far very far away. It's basically Christmas next year, so too soon to tell. And this will be basically the trend going in 2026. Yeah, let's see, good expenditure and consumption, they are pretty much the same thing. Consumption and good expenditure, goods expenditure, they are pretty much the same thing. One is the whole measure, goods, it's only goods, not services, so we see that we have a negative. People are spending less for goods, and also the total consumption number declines between Q1 and Q2 next year. And then it converts to the baseline scenario and then goes up seasonally for Q4 2025. And it's pretty much the same pattern for 2026. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And yeah, let's see. So I was noticing that these two charts, they are the same. They are the same trend, exactly the same. And this wage growth, in basically that it's statistically interpolated with goods expenditure and households expenditure, so it's pretty much the same, you know? And yeah, it's flat Q1 Q3 sorry, Q1 and Q2 next year, and then it slows down Q3 and Q4. So this model forecasts a slowdown in goods expenditure and households expenditure for Q3 and Q4 next year, and it's correlated to wage growth. So this can be due to other factors, which can be higher taxes, so there is less disposable income, deleveraging, again less disposable income, inflation, so less consumption because prices are higher, or more saving, but more saving, yeah, it's basically, yeah, we should I should have pulled in the saving ratio to see how it works, but I didn't have time. I focused on retail sales, and yeah, or maybe I don't know. The macroeconomic scenario turns negative, so we have higher unemployment, so wages start to not to grow but to decrease, because we have less employment, so we have less wage growth, and with that, goods expenditure and households expenditures tend to contract because there is more uncertainty. And then yeah, let's see if we flip the thing around. We have okay, UK consumption with goods expenditure and households expenditure. So this is the overall aggregate consumption with only interpolated only with goods or with households, and pretty much it's the same. It's the same thing, but we can see that seasonally the first quarter of the year is always very slow, and then it has a positive change here, one unit change positive, so consumption should pick up strongly in Q2 next year and then fade a little bit, and then it'll be a little bit subdued in Q4 next year. More, yeah, also this one gives me a Q4 next year. So if I want to bring this and this to this and this together, if I want to bring this thing together, then we could rather say that maybe together after Q2 next year, like Q1, Q2 is gonna be flattish for wage growth, and then it's gonna decline in Q2, Q3, Q4. So I don't know. It will be a rising unemployment, more people unemployed in the back end of the next year, and so this also explains why consumption, the forecast gives us a declining consumption for Q3, Q4. Also goods expenditure, because it's related to wage growth. There are many reasons, and there are many variables that will never stop to check. Keep in check. Let's see. Okay, this is the other batch of variables on a monthly frequency. Basically it's the same thing. So you take the stationary data, it's a lot of noise, a lot of seasonality, autocorrelation, so the data needs to be make the first difference, see if it's stationary, and so on. We go all through the process, and we go through the process again of detrending and decomposing the seasonality of wage growth, retail sales excluding fuel, I don't know, money supply, credit, consumer credit creation. So here we have textile and clothing footwear stores sales, So we see we have the decomposition, the detrending of the trend, the residual, and the seasonality factor from the observed value. We start from here, and then the machine extracts the trend, the seasonality, and what is the residual effect of some outlier data, outlier values, like very large data, I don't know, +5, -5, +10, +20, -10, so all these things. Yeah, and we repeat again for the same thing. How's also the composition of all these exclude retail sales excluding fuel, and it's on a volume basis, on a chain volume basis, seasonally adjusted, non-seasonally adjusted, and yeah, some are non-food stores and food stores and households. And then okay, we go to the nitty-gritty, to the meat of the thing, and we have here also the ARIMA forecast. Okay, so month on month percent total retail sales, and for the next 6 months, because this is a 6-month forecast, I believe we can check it out in the code. I'm pretty sure that the forecast is 6 months. Should be somewhere, but I'm sure it's 6 months. And yeah, so the ARIMA takes the decomposition factor, which is very good because it filters out all the variance, the error in the data, the mean square error and the variance error, etc. But the variance error should be filtered out with Arch and Arch models, but the ARIMA can do a decent forecast. Okay, so we see that month-on-month retail sales in the first 6 months of the year should be at around 3%. Sorry for the line, but yeah, 3% is here and should be growing. Then it gives us a trend forecast for retail sales excluding fuel, and there is a very wide shaded area, but the trend should be basically around between 2 and 2.5%, which is not far from 3%. And then textile and clothing, and so basically clothing shops and shoe shops, and the trend growth should be here around 3 or 4%. So that the month-on-month growth in aggregate should be, first 6 months should be between 3 and 4%, at least what is the forecast. But bear in mind the pinky shaded area, it's the confidence interval, so there is a lot of uncertainty always to bear in mind. So household goods stores also 1% more or less. Yeah, we have a 2%, 1%. And then all retail excluding fuel, yes, between 2 and 2.5%. And yeah, total value of non-seasonal adjusted retail sales, yes, up to almost 1%, but you see that the volume will be declining. So probably this confirms some data that I appreciated on the ONS website. If anybody with a bit of time goes on the ONS website, it will see that on a volume basis the consumption expenditure of British consumer has decreased. So the overall amount of stuff that people buy, it's less. Okay, but basically consumption expenditure has kept more or less steady, more or less at the same levels, although it's a bit less than 2021 or 2022 or 2019. So less stuff, less items are purchased by people, but the overall value amount of retail sales is the total value is more or less the same because of inflation. So higher prices or because of shrinkflation. So you buy less things for for more money. You spend more and you get less. So that's why this explains why the forecast for the volume percentage change it's negative -2%. So people will buy less things, which will probably be more careful in what they buy. They will pick and choose what they really need, or they pick and choose when they will want to go out shopping if there are bargains. It's not like free for all at all times, because of inflation and because of the cut down, because of fat cuts and stuff like that. So people have less money in the pocket. And yeah, trend components, volume, non-seasonal adjusted. This is slightly positive for all retail sales. Food stores. So food stores, you see that food more or less should be keeping up on a volume on a volume on a volume level, like volume percentage change, so amount of stuff, not the value of what people are buying, like the price value, but the amount of stuff. And then what is that? What is that? Trade components, non-food stores. No, non-food, yeah, will be keeping up, but 2 or 3%. Okay, so these are basically the AIC criteria, BIC criteria, which are quite large, and so everything needs to be refined. So these are the overall projection for Q4 and next year for retail sales. So let's see if we can more or less there should be healthy wage growth, more or less, but consumption could be declining, could be less than expected in Q4 next year and Q1 next year, and this probably could less consumption could go through also in Q2 next year. I don't know if for wage dynamics or for disposable income dynamics or for some other macroeconomic factors, and yeah, the forecast is for a pretty flat households consumption of less than 1% per quarter. And yeah, we saw some interesting features of goods and wages, how they interact, and yeah, we have here a pattern that is very interesting of pattern of yeah, the Q2 Q3 factor of less consumption and yeah, declining wages also in Q2 Q3 next year. So a mixed picture to expect is more or less not so huge numbers, but more or less steady retail sales, but less quantity, more higher prices, higher inflation, and keep an eye on wage growth and how consumers will basically decide how and when, why, and what take away from store. And from me, it's everything here. I hope you enjoyed, and if you enjoyed, please thumbs up, give me a like, give me a comment, and smash it through to next year. Have a joyful New Year's Eve. Just don't drink too much. Also, if you are sober, it's a good time. Enjoy next year, will be very good. I hope so. And yeah, see you soon. Take care.